Hey, this is Alan over at UAV Coach, and I'm shooting this video for the Flaming Pickles Robotics team at Sabal Point Elementary School. Quick side note, I'm going to need to get the story on the name Flaming Pickles Robotics team. I'm sure there's a story there, and I want to hear it. You had sent me an email about an idea that you have for this Animal Allies themed robotics competition, and the idea is to build a drone that fights elephant poaching. And I have a few thoughts in response to this idea. Number one, it's a great idea. It's being done already, which I think is a good thing because your idea is not crazy, right? Like it's actually being implemented right now, but it's not fully being implemented, and there's a lot of room for improvement. So definitely check out the company Air Shepherd out of South Africa. They have a fixed wing drone system. So it's fixed wing, but it also has multi-rotors. So it's not just fixed wing and it's not just multi-rotor, it's a combination of the both. It's a unique aircraft that they've developed, and it can fly for about 2 hours before needing to recharge. And that's important because I think when you think about this idea, you need a system that can be in the air for a long time. Otherwise you're gonna have to, you're not gonna have that much distance that you can cover before you have to swap out the battery. So if you can be flying for 2 hours, that's a lot of distance. And I think that's really important when you're thinking about poaching because you have large areas that need to get mapped. And so battery life is key. The second thing is that a lot of poaching happens at night. So you're gonna need to think about, okay, well, how am I gonna be able to take an image at night? So think about infrared images. You're gonna need to strap some sort of thermal camera, and that can get expensive, but it's a lot cheaper than it used to be, and it's so much easier than it used to be to build these systems. And that's what's so exciting about this idea, because even 2 or 3 or 5 years ago, your idea would be so hard to do, or so much harder to do, but it's a lot easier today because the technology has gotten a lot better, and there's more drone manufacturers selling different kits and frames and parts, and there's a lot of ways to think about actually building this system. So again, think about battery life, think about flying at night, and you mentioned elephants. Elephants are my family's favorite animal. I'm a big supporter of the San Diego Zoo, and I love elephants. We actually adopted an elephant for my wife for her birthday one year. It was a present that my dad got her. So our family is big into elephants. There are other animals that are being poached around the world as well. So elephants, rhinoceri or rhinoceroses. You probably know the plural of that better than I do. And many other animals, and it's in Southern Africa, it's in Eastern Africa, it's many parts of Southeast Asia as well, and I'm sure all over the world there are instances of poaching. So when I think about an idea like this, there's 2 parts. There's actually building the drone and testing it and making sure that it has the right specifications and it works, and then there's actually executing the idea. And that's where the real challenge is, I think, because you need to form partnerships with the right organizations. You need to really talk with local anti-poaching organizations to understand what is it that they're actually doing now to combat poaching. What are they doing now to hunt for poachers? Like, what do those routes look like? What information can they give you? So I would definitely think, I'm not sure what your time frame is for this contest, but if you can talk with anti-poaching organizations and maybe get some bullet points from them as to whether they think it's a good idea, how they could use unmanned aerial systems in their existing efforts, there might be some cool use cases that you haven't thought about yet, that I haven't thought about yet. So it's always good to talk directly to the source when you're working on an idea like this and sort of build it with them along the way. And let me see, I took another note here. Let me see if I have any other. Oh, you mentioned disguising it like a hawk. And I want to push back a little here, and I think it's a cool idea to disguise it. It might not be necessary. If you're flying it at night, no one's going to be able to see it anyway. And even if you're flying during the day, if they see it, by the time they see it, it's too late, and they've been caught, and rangers, know their location and can catch them. So you don't necessarily need to disguise it, maybe. And the reason I say that is because whenever you're building a project, you have to think about all the different features, and you have to prioritize those features. And I think that disguising it like a hawk is a feature. It might not be a necessary feature, or it might maybe a lower priority feature. Maybe that's version 2 or version 3. So as far as that goes, maybe you can start just by building the system, and then if you can get it to look like a hawk, that would be cool, but it might not be necessary, even though it would look pretty cool. And I think that's it. I tend to be a little long-winded sometimes in these responses. I figured I would shoot a video rather than send an email, and hopefully this helps you think about the project. Please stay in touch, and I would love to see the finished work that you do, the submission to the contest, or whatever your team ends up doing with this. But the bottom line is it's a great idea, and I love that drones are being used in STEM education and robotics competitions like this. They are fascinating. They are so much fun to fly. If you've not flown one yet, get out and fly one. They are so much fun. A little cheap quadcopter. You can get it for $20 or $30 on Amazon. It's really not that much money to have like a little computer that you're flying around. So I'm very inspired by this email, and I hope this video was helpful. So thanks for reaching out. Thanks so much. Bye.